like 1 or 2 weeks where I was just down bad. He's a creative director who brought in a producer. I made this track and I have a big name on it. If you can write a verse on here and it's dope, I'll pitch it to them and see what can happen. Everything had to do with money. It was like if you didn't have money, you couldn't be associated. You know, there's a lot of like gatekeeping in the industry. Everybody knows that. And so the access is just, I feel like it's unfair.
All right, guys, what's up? Welcome back, Passionate Profit Podcast. We're here with our boy Kuiet, local, born and raised, Ventura, California. He's actually started a nonprofit, Kollective Kandor, who he's helping bring together creators, collaborators in all areas of the creative space. So what's up, bro? How you doing?
I'm chilling, man. Busy, networking.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
You got an event after this one?
Yeah. I should head out to LA to hit up this, screenwriter and actors collective event or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is that? Is that just a today thing? Is it?
Yeah. I try to scope out events that are happening, throughout the week or on the weekend and see what I can make to just kind of keep expanding and networking.
Okay.
Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about Kollective Kandor. So as I said, it's a nonprofit. Give us a little update about it or a little background on it.
Kollective Kandor, it's basically inspired from me just being an artist by myself on my journey and having to go through struggles that I feel like it were probably necessary but more unnecessary. Mm-hmm. Just trying to survive and figure out how I'm gonna keep doing what I love and survive at the same time. And then just along the way, I've met people with the same story, and it's like, man, I know I'm not going through this. There's a bunch of other people going through this. Why is it like this? How can I change this? And so I just, kept showing up to events where I was meeting people in the industry, outside of the industry. And then I came across nonprofits. And when I started to help them, I started to see the world differently because money wasn't the priority. Yeah. It was like, how can I impact society as a whole? And then, figure out how to help people financially in a way, like survive. And so then I was like, I wonder if there are any like nonprofit labels, right? Because at that point I was just thinking like for musicians, and there are a few. There's probably like maybe 1, 2, 3 outside of California, and I kind of used them to kind of refer my ideas. And then I was like, okay, I could use this, and then I just started meeting people and telling them about my vision and seeing who would grab onto it and be like, oh, that's dope. Like I would be a part of that. Like once it happens, circle back around to me and let me know. And so I just been keeping at it, and I started to come across people saying like, what are your credentials? Like, what power do you have to put me in this position? Like, who are you? Like, what makes you important? And, I took that and I sat on it for a little bit, and I'm just like, the more value I have is the more value I can give to somebody else. So then right now I'm at Icon Collective, which is a trade school for music business. So I'm literally learning the ins and outs of the industry, and that only helps me. That helps me learn like what's going on currently with profit per se in the entertainment industry, and the loopholes of how I can bring this system in that people will start to gravitate to more, if that makes sense. So I just been meeting people there and telling them about it, and honestly, since I've been there, my network has grown like probably like 99% more. And that's where I'm at with it right now. It's we function based off of trading and exchanging services.
Okay.
So somebody will come in with something to offer while looking for something. And I feel like when we're helping each other and we're building things that are bigger and more impactful, people will pay more attention, especially when they know like we do need the support. Like one of my friends recently, her house got broken into by this dude a couple of times, and she had to move out, and now she's like doesn't have a place to stay. But it's like if I was at a position where I already had a place where I could have easily just been like, yo, come to this spot, like I got you, and now you're safe. You know what I mean? But now she has that barrier and that burden of like, damn, like how am I going to survive? And now that's time being taken away from her being able to create. And she's amazing, like she's talented. And so that's kind of what this is. We provide everything from essential basics to education to networking to just putting people in position to be more successful with what their talent is or their passion is.
You were an artist prior to getting into the space.
Correct.
What drifted you? I guess just what made you see the void and the gap to be filled? Like, did you hit a point where you were struggling to just kind of put your stuff out there or need other services but just not have the capital for it?
Yeah. As I was, I was an assistant for studios, for music groups, and I was just, I'm a big on observing. So I just like to see how people move, their energies, their conversations. And it was just a lot of like, just everything had to do with money. It was like, if you didn't have money, you couldn't be associated. There's a lot of like gatekeeping in the industry. Everybody knows that. And so the access is just, I feel like it's unfair. Like a lot of people, you don't have access to anything, especially if you don't have money. Yeah, bro, I got off track. What was your question?
No, it was just you started as an artist and you wanted to fill the gap, or you probably saw a gap that needed to be filled. Probably from struggles you experienced.
Yeah. So I mean, as I was going through that, basically, I was just like, I just kept thinking like, what if money was out of the equation?
Yeah.
Because really, that's all it is. Like, I can't stress that enough. Like I could have a song with J. Cole right now if he thought I was talented enough, you know what I mean? And it's like, now I'm popping, now I'm probably generating enough revenue to be able to, have a more sustainable life. But I just seeing those things, bro, made me think of this idea, and that's why I'm here.
Yeah. Go for it.
The name Kollective Kandor, can you elaborate a little bit on what that means to you and why you chose the name?
Yeah. I mean, if you hear music today, I feel like it's meaningless. People are just, it's mainstream. And you listen to things like right now I'm taking music history and we're listening to tracks and it's like, what happened to the storytelling and people sharing their personal experiences? But over time, the system has been built to like kind of not saturate, but no one really pays attention to that anymore. No one really cares. And so I just think that stories should be shared. That's how we evolve. That's how we learn from each other to do better and grow. And I just feel like stories should be heard. And that's the purpose of this as well, is the true, authentic storytelling and point of views that are going to change other people's lives because it's relatable.
Okay.
It's been 2 years, right? Since you've been on this journey.
Yeah.
What like got you to spark the idea? Like, where were you at when you were like, I think nonprofit might be the way, or...
Oh man.
Like, how did it come to you? Because I feel like it's a big deal. It takes a lot of thinking. It's probably like a dream, a little vision.
Dude. Yeah, it takes a lot. And I'm a big thinker. I overthink a lot. But to be honest, I was in my room at the time, and it's probably been like 1 or 2 weeks where I was just down bad. Like, I was like mad depressed, bro, because it was like, I love doing this, but it's not getting me anywhere. Like, I'm still on the street. I still can't like buy food. I can't do this. I can't do that. And then I was thinking, like, I've been working with nonprofits. I should talk to my friend about how she went about it and how it actually works. This, that, and the third. And then I was like, let me just try and see like where it takes me and like who I meet that wants to support. And then I just committed to that. And it was like a new spark of inspiration. Then like the next like 2-3 months after that, I was just doing mad research on the loopholes and how exactly I can help people and what I'm going to be presenting and the meaning of it all, et cetera, et cetera.
So 2 years ago, you got a vision. I want to start a nonprofit. Can you talk us through the actual journey of getting that fully official running, things you had to do, and then where it's at kind of now?
I feel like I mentioned, or if I haven't mentioned, I'm very spiritual. So I'm really big on manifestation. So when I think of something, I'll think on it like for a cool minute.
Do you write it down?
I do, but a lot of the times I keep shit in my head.
It's crazy. I'm big too. Like upstairs in my room, like I have my vision board.
Yes.
And like the thing is, sometimes I put up a vision board or I'll get into the writing of manifestation. Like, okay, write it, 10 times, 20 times, whatever. And then life's busy, bro. You just kind of forget. And you're like, and then like a week might go by and you're like, damn, I didn't write this. Is it even going to happen anymore? And it's like hard to stay on track and be like, write your stuff. Like that's the thing I felt with manifestation, because I'm big on that too. But I've definitely got I've shied away sometimes. I'm like, damn, I didn't write it down or anything. So like now what I try and do when it comes to manifesting, and sorry to cut you off,
You're
but
good.
Put up the vision board and then, just try and like look at it every day before bed and just like envision it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry I cut you off, but it's
No,
just crazy that you said that, because I've always like wanted to. This is actually like a little dream of mine. Like talk about. I've talked to people about manifestation, but one of the things is like, there's no like. Obviously, it's just like a spiritual thing,
Right.
So you can't, even like, what if I change my manifestation? Like, what if I put up the dream car I wanted, but I'm like, damn, I like that Rolls Royce better. Like,
Yeah,
can I change it? Is
yeah.
it still gonna come to fruition?
Yeah. Yeah.
How's
I
that
mean,
been with you?
I believe so. I think it's more so of just obviously that imagination, imagining you have that car. It's like luxury, right?
Yeah.
So you're still going to get a luxury car. It might not be that specific one, but you're still going to get that like quality. But yeah, like I said, bro, a lot of things I keep in my head just because like I play shit over a lot. So it's already visual in a sense. But a vision board is definitely something that helped as well. Just imagining obviously what it looks like. But more so the actions. That's what really sends the frequency of that vibration out into the world. It's like, I can't just think, okay, I want a nonprofit and just sit there and think about it, right? I gotta like me doing the research, me writing down notes, me telling people about it, and making a list, and looking at that list every day and being like, this is gonna come into fruition. So I actually, bro, I've hit a lot of points of like lowness, man, where I'm just like, oh, fuck this shit. I don't know if I could cuss, my bad. But I had a weekend, right? So I met. Let me backtrack, see where I want to start with this. I did a lot of yoga. And me and my buddy, Kaika, that's like my best friend, we would go out a lot, and I actually started my spiritual journey with him, and we were on like the same tip, and we were just doing like a lot of research and had a lot of awakenings. And so we would hit up these yoga sessions, and every time we came in, like it's usually like older people for the most part, and they're like, "Man, you young kids like have a lot of energy, da da da." And we're just like, we like to just come off that way, just because that's how we are, energetic. And so that basically led me having a conversation with one of the instructors about what I have going on, and she's like, "Well, I want to help," just right off the back, and she helped in a way that was, she knew somebody that had a studio. And when I saw the studio, I was like, this is cool. So initially I used it for like just rehearsals, right? I was like, can I just use the studio for like my dancers and if they need time, like no charge. So I used that for a little bit. And then I didn't know that I was speaking to somebody through those people. So one day I had a session set up. And this was a weekend right before I was like, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
Like I gotta get out of town. I'm just gonna travel. Wherever I end up, I end up. If I meet people, I meet people, whatever. I don't care really anymore. And so I went to that session, and I finally met the person I was talking to. And she was like, I've been waiting like a while to meet you. And I want to let you know that I want to support your creative journey. And it was just really emotional for me, because I'm like, just timing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I was literally like packed, ready to go. And when she said that, I just broke everything down. And she's like, no, like I got you. I want to help you, whatever you need, et cetera, et cetera. And I actually ended up staying in that studio because like at some point, again, I didn't have anywhere to stay. So I was literally just crashing on the couch in this like cold ass studio. But I mean, it was what it was, because I was thankful. And so that led to her sponsoring my first show that I threw. And it was greater than, what I expected. There was I expected maybe like 20, 30 people. There's probably like 70, 75, 80. And it was cool. It was, I had the artists that I messed with at the time pull up, and everybody was like, when are you going to do the next one? When are you going to do the next one? But unfortunately that fell through. But just situations like that where, you meet the right people in the right time, and that one event I was able to elevate. So people were like, you're doing something. We see you taking action. We want to be a part of it. And then from there, I probably had 10 people at the time, 10 artists that were like, we see the vision, we rock with it. But then 2 weeks after that, like I said, it's funny to observe people, because the things that I don't feel like I was asking them for too much. It was more so of like what made sense, because you said you want to do this, right? But 2 weeks later, I ended up with 2 people, because they either didn't want to put the work in, or they didn't understand the sacrifices that need to be made. And I ran with those two people for a little bit. I got them in some showcases and connected to some people. But again, it's always like, it's every single time, bro. It never fails. It's like, oh, life is just happening. Like I can't do this because of this, and it's like, damn, like that's too bad because you have all this talent that can put you in this position. But people with the "it is what it is" mindset, it makes me cringe, bro. Because I'm like, you're not stuck in that situation. Like you have the choices.
Did you say that is what it is?
Yeah, that's what I'm like.
I can't stand that.
Yeah, but I'm like,
I can't stand that.
whew. But yeah, and that was just a learning experience, I think, for me and for them. But I think at the end of the day, it's still you're not going to be able to force anybody to do anything. If they really want to do it, they'll do it.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's just kind of where I'm at, and that's why it just makes more sense for me to be in LA because everybody is pursuing something creative. So I'm like, I'm probably going to have a better chance out here. No, like I love Ventura, but for me, it's always just been hard to find those creatives that are willing to collaborate. Everybody I talk to, they're like, I got to do it myself because I want to get to LA. I'm like, imagine if we came together and built something big. But
and you just put up Kollective Kandor. You said a month ago, earlier today, right? So you've been official for about a month as a nonprofit. Can you tell everyone a little bit about like what it takes to become official as a nonprofit?
So there are two ways. One of the ways is you basically just invest and you build like an HR team and people that deal with financials and lawyers, and you can imagine that's a lot. So it's like a pretty big fee to do all the paperwork, plus finding people that are gonna want to work in those departments for a nonprofit. But the best, I had what's this place called? I think it's called CDC out in Camarillo. It's like a specific business where they have mentors for nonprofits. So I was talking to my mentor. His name is Spector, and he was basically guiding me on how to do it. And he was like, the easiest way to become a nonprofit is to just find a sponsor that has the same values as you. And so I was doing a lot of research and stuff. And with any business, I feel like you have to be prepared to pitch something, right? That makes sense. You got to have a business plan or some type of motto that's going to show them like what your plans are. And so one just fell in my lap. Like I was doing a bunch of research, reaching out to a lot of people, and for whatever reason, it wasn't hitting. Maybe it just wasn't my time. I didn't have my shit all the way together. But once, and you could feel that too. I feel like with energy, like when you're in the right spot, and it's like cool. Like I'm on a roll right now. And then, as I was on a roll, like I got that email, and it was like, yeah, like we want to know more about what you have going on. Like we want to sponsor you. And I was like, perfect. So I signed up, did it with them, and I have my own page on their page. And, some links where you could just donate, one time or monthly. But I think that's the best way if you want to like get involved in having your own nonprofit. And the quickest way is just having a sponsor. The only thing with that is, and I'm sure like any other businesses, they take a percentage of whatever comes in. But I mean, it's worth it.
And who are you sponsored by?
It's called the Hat Club. And what they do is they help people in college and high school. They basically teach them how to code.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah. Awesome.
So you said that you're passionate about putting people in a position of power for them to succeed. Mm-hmm. Where did you first find that passion? Like, did you always have that? Did you always were like a collaborative individual? I know you mentioned that you were in sports, so could it come from being in like a team setting?
I don't think it comes specifically from that. I mean, I've always been a team player for sure. But I mean, I guess even in sports, I saw per se like, when you're somebody's, I guess, maybe like favorite player or whatever, they'll tend to you and try to get you with that scholarship more than somebody else who's been in the gym putting all this work in. I won't go into that. I have an example, but I won't go into that.
Is it bad or?
It was just like one of my teammates had the news on him because of some situation that happened in high school, and the coach decided, okay, I'm gonna just put them in and give them all the attention since there's already attention on them, which is gonna put more eyes on this school and this team. So I'm just like, okay, it's political. But I think naturally I've just always been like wanting to help other people, especially just knowing that I've been through it. So I'm like, why do I want to see anybody else going through it if I have anything to do with it?
Is it upbringing, or were you just, you have a mentor, but like where did it spark from? Or was it just like, this is something I've always wanted. I'm passionate about, honestly, bro, it's putting people on.
Natural. Like, okay. I'm just really big, like I said, on energy. So I'm really empathetic. And so when I see somebody going through something, I'm like, damn, like I feel that. Like I want to cry with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel that.
So yeah, man, just seeing people be successful.
So what does it look like if I connect with you? Let's just say I have this podcast, I have no videographer, editor, or a co-host or even camera equipment or,
Yeah.
or audio, something, right? I'm missing something to connect all the dots. What
Yeah.
does it look like? Do I hit you up? How does it work?
Yeah, so we'll have an initial conversation and get acquainted. I'll kind of see where you come from, what your passion is, what you want to do, what your short-term, long-term goals are. And then we create a plan of how we go about that. And then I'll tell you what I'm able to provide and what I'm not able to provide, but what we're able to do in the meantime until we can get to, that next level. So then, yeah, I would provide you with a videographer and an editor, and because that's currently what I have. And then I guess, any co-host or whatever would be up to you. I'd probably show you, a list of people that you would probably meet up with and be like, okay, I mess with that person. Let's try that.
Yeah.
And then we'll just go from there.
Okay.
Nice, man.
But nothing, I'm not charging you. You're not charging me. It's all collaborative. Yeah.
Nice. How many people do you have on your team currently? Because I know you said that you're still looking for people, but
Yes, that's
collectively,
it.
how many do you have?
It's a funny question because, in a sense, I'm technically the only one running this thing.
Okay.
But I'll say that in a way of anybody who comes in, they come in as a creative, right? That's all they want to do is just create and do whatever they know how to do. And that's why I'm waiting for people that are more entrepreneurial and want to manage and direct, because then I'll probably say hey, do you want to be on the team as somebody who directs? Because then now I can be okay, you take care of this team over here and manage what they have going on, and I can do X, Y, and Z over here. But right now it's just I am the team, and I point people where to go and not what to do, but guide them as far as how to elevate.
Have you been able to connect people thus far? Put
Yeah.
together a few projects?
Yeah. Our last session with our first team, everything, I don't know if I mentioned before, but everything is basically through networks, right? If I bring somebody in, you don't know what somebody has. Somebody can know Chris Brown's manager, But basically, one of our sessions we had before, I have this artist named Young Doc, and my other friend who's a part of it, he's a creative director, who brought in a producer who he didn't say the name, which was probably for a reason, when he's like, yo, I made this track and I have a big name on it. If you can write a verse on here and it's dope, I'll pitch it to them and see what can happen. Now, for me, I'm already that's dope. Anything, because you are just here present in this moment, and you've bought into this mission and you've shown up to this session. Now you have that connection, and now you have a possibility of probably making whatever the return is on that project. So just little situations like that, I feel like that's the point of this whole thing.
Yeah. How do you fund this day to day? I know it's just you, but how do you fund it right now?
Right now, relationships.
Okay.
I don't know.
Do you have sponsorships now, or people that are able to keep it going?
So this is functioning through people. Like I said, the relationships are the fuel of this whole thing. But the funding will initially come from we can do grant writing, so we can get funding from the government. There are foundations that'll donate whatever it is that they donate, and then individual donations through just individuals or local businesses, I feel is going to be a big one as well, especially if they believe in supporting the creative community.
Have you had success with those yet?
No, I haven't even gone out to do that yet, only because I know people want something to be shown. So right now I'm working on content. And then once I have that, it's yo, look and see what we've been doing, and the lives that are already being changed, et cetera, et cetera.
What did the last 2 years look like? Was it just a lot of vision and just trying to put something together? I feel like that's probably one of the hardest parts with creating and in your position is just finding that content, that the piece of information to show for your vision. Like you said, there's a lot of stuff in your head, but it's crazy. It takes a lot of work to put that vision on display for people.
Yeah.
So is it just filled with a lot of that?
Re-ask me the question.
Was it the last 2 years?
Yeah.
What did Kollective Kandor look like? You got official a month ago with a sponsorship.
Mm-hmm.
Was it just a lot of vision?
Yeah. I mean, just imagining. Imagining what it's going to look like, but through the data I was collecting with just having conversations of what people thought. Like, yo, like, what do you think about like something where nobody has to pay for anything and they're just provided it, you know? And then I would, tweak this, tweak that, and say like, I probably can't do this because it doesn't make any sense, or, just kind of formulating a structure that's valid per se.
And if I wanted to, if I reached out to you and went to, ask, let's just say I'm a videographer and I'm like, yo, I want to shoot content, but like no one's really hitting my line. Like I'm new at this, but like I have a passion for it. Mm-hmm. I connect with you. Do I have to sign anything? Am I on an agreement? Do you have a contract? How does that work?
So another question I like to ask people is, are you doing this for money or because it's your passion and you like to do it? And I have to say this real quick. I was talking to this videographer, and he had some pretty good like knowledge and like a pretty good portfolio. I was like, okay, you can probably shoot some really nice stuff. And I was like, what do you think about helping out a nonprofit? And he was like, oh man, like I can't really afford it. And then I asked him a question, and I was like, well, like, do you love to do this, or are you only doing it for money? And he was like, well, he was stuck. Yeah. And I'm like, wondering what he was gonna say. And he was like, well, it's my passion, but I still need money. And I'm like, okay, I get it. But the days that you're not booked, what are you doing? You had to be shooting still. So it's like, how can you not afford it when, if you know what I mean, on your downtime, you're not doing this. So it must not be your passion. Like you obviously can take breaks and stuff, but are you really telling me the truth, basically? Now, where were we?
Yeah, I mean, it was just what are the steps I'm taking in order to work with you? Am I signing a contract? Am I signing an agreement?
So yeah, if money is obviously not your priority, then we just work on skill building. I'll refer you to whoever has the most knowledge in that field, and they are obviously a part of my organization, so they agreed to help other people that need help. So it's like I send you there, and we just give you projects to continue to shoot until you get better, and then you're also building your portfolio so people can see like how you've grown, and then you can just have that.
Sick. Creator wise, right now, what do you have? I know you just said you put together a team recently. What does that look like? What do you have in your arsenal currently today of like connections or people that you're directly working with?
What I can provide currently for people who come in, I would say definitely marketing, content, creative direction, with fashion. We can help you build your portfolio. I would definitely say I have industry access in a sense of like if you wanted to talk to somebody in the industry, like for knowledge and education, I could provide that for you. Just because where I'm at currently is like the teachers and all of the staff are currently in the industry, but I can easily bring in like a group of people or a crowd of people and have a session with just that one person. Cause everybody that works there, I have people that work with Insomniac, people that work with, big name artists, or people that have their own labels or management. And even at the end of the day, I plan to talk to them because as a student, it's like, we want to support you. So a lot of them, it's funny too, because a lot of them, obviously that school is for the entertainment business, which is for profit. So when I come to them with questions about nonprofit, they're like we've never heard of that, but we want to see you thrive because that sounds really dope. So I feel like at the end of it, when I have things more structured out, I can even partner with them. And like I said, some of them are labels and management companies. So it's like, I don't see how we can't collaborate there, which is also an extension of exposure for the people that are part of the organization.
We talked about the past 2 years for Collective Kandor. Where do you see yourself in the next 2 years? Where do you want to see your nonprofit go?
Man, there's a lot. Like I think really big, and I get really excited, but there's so many ideas that we have. I've mentioned our Airbnb idea.
What does that look like, actually?
The Airbnb?
Yeah. I don't know if you talked about it yet. I know we talked about it, but yeah.
I mean, there's multiple versions of it. It just depends what the proposed sponsorship looks like. But ideally, I'd like to be able to be partnered with Airbnb. So not only are we tackling, homelessness, at least in the creative community, but we're creating an environment where inspiration is always active, right? We can be in a place for, let's say 1 month or 1 to 3 months, and then we switch to another place where it's like, oh dang, we just went from like a 4-bedroom apartment to a 5-bedroom, mansion or whatever it is, and that's going to stem different types of inspiration for each person. So if you are homeless or don't have a safe place to stay, that'd be the place where you would reside, but it's also the place where we would function as far as, education and workshops. We've also talked about off camera that I've partnered with Sunstar. Yeah. And if you don't know who that is, that's Tory Lanez' father. And he's really big on providing mental health for creatives. And that's something that he's newly came upon. So he's like, once you get your stuff started, I definitely want to be a part of that. And so I think that's already big, because that's for sure gonna, shoot us further with his team marketing, what he has going on. And, combining that is just, like I said, more exposure.
That's crazy. How'd you connect with him on that?
So the beginning of this year, I ran into the creative director I was telling you about. And it's funny because we kind of just not randomly met, but it was, I don't know, I was introduced to them and we kind of just were chopping it up, and he was talking about what he had going on. And I was like, that's so crazy because this is my idea. And he was like, yo, that's lit. And at the time, the nonprofit was on the back burner just because of the situation I was in. But I was willing to help him because I was like, oh, I'm definitely going to meet a lot of people, and this is an opportunity. And I was basically like a talent scout booking agent, because what he had going on was a creative showcase for local artists to have more access to bigger name artists. So he was like, I'm going to have local artists come and perform, but I'm going to have 1 or 2 big name artists come and perform as well. So in the event, they can, talk and they can get acquainted and have that more personable conversation. So as I was doing that, the first show we booked, I got all of his talent, and through the people that he knows, they kind of had eyes on us, and that involved a Coca-Cola agent. And then after that event, they had reached out to us and they're like, yo, we see what you have going on. We want to sponsor you. So we landed a Coca-Cola sponsor for that event. And I think maybe the second or third event after that is when Tory Lanez' father actually came to the event. And that's when we kind of locked in the contact. And he's personally had that relationship locked in, and then has extended it to me now that I've put this back on,
Yeah. Back to the vision for 2 years from now or a year from now. And, we've talked on the last podcast with visions are always changing. And it's kind of crazy because 1 minute you could be like, oh, I envisioned this in 1 year, but stuff happens at different times. So, comes sooner or comes later. Where, do you envision a studio? Do you envision a location? I know, in the nonprofit collaborating, you were talking about Airbnbs, moving to different locations that can play a big role.
Yeah.
Would you ideally want, a headquarters?
I guess per se, but I don't, at least in this point of where I'm at, I don't think so.
Okay.
Just because, yeah, man, that's tough. I haven't really landed on anything there, just because I think that how I'm going about things right now is reaching out to those people that already have that.
Okay.
And then I don't know if you're familiar with Ultrium Studios. They're out in NoHo, and it's actually a place that I interned at. So I turned back around and do you know Danny Lay? No. Or Isla? You know the song Easy?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
actually, I don't know. Easy. Maybe we'll add a little clip in here. Yeah. Put on Easy song.
But basically, Danny Lay is somebody who is usually at Ultrium. When I was working there, she wasn't popping yet, but now she has songs with DaBaby and Chris Brown and stuff like that. And her manager actually runs Ultrium with a couple of other people that have artists in the industry as well. So that's why I'm that's a perfect opportunity to collaborate.
Yeah.
So I just sent a proposal, and I'm like, yo, the times that the studio is not being used, can I have artists come in here? And obviously they can have the content for advertisement. And it's just better for their name too if they're working with people who are less fortunate. It just also elevates them. And then there's just so many things that we can do in there as far as events and workshops. And
did they take you up on it?
I'm still waiting to hear back. But I feel like they would. And I don't see why not. That's like my main thing is like, why not? Like if you're a business that's already doing good, like you have at least a little to give back, you know? And if you don't, then I mean, that's just.
I mean, you got nothing to lose, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
I feel that. Where can people find you right now? I mean, your IG, do you have a website? How do we connect?
Everything is in the process right now. Okay. Like I said, most of things are word to mouth.
Yeah.
So I'm usually introduced in person to like somebody who's interested, or I don't know if you've heard of Bumble Biz.
But is that like Bumble app, but the business side of it?
Yeah, yeah.
I have.
So that is definitely.
Has that helped you?
Yeah, a lot, bro.
That's crazy.
Like, tremendously. This other day I was like, damn, I should probably like partner with them somehow, some way, because that's definitely like the reason of a lot of my relationships. But yeah, just my IG. You say you recently looked at my page, huh? Like last night or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, dang, like I literally just wiped out my profile. I've never done that before. But I was like, I'm personally for my brand, I'm also rebranding.
Yeah.
While I'm working on this organization. But yeah, just DM, or if you know anybody that I know. I mean, my phone number, email. Basically, right now.
Yeah.
I do need a website though.
How does a rebrand feel?
For me
like personally? Just for you personally, we have our first guest. He did like a rebrand, and I always think it's interesting because I feel like a lot of rebrands come at a pivotal point. Mm-hmm. And I mean, with you becoming an official nonprofit, and I mean, you have things going now. Like you're very early. I feel like that rebrand is very pivotal. How does it feel? Is it hard? Are you scared, or is it nerve-wracking?
As far as my personal brand?
Yeah, personal.
It's wild because I haven't really thought too much about it just because I'm so invested in the organization. But I also feel like the ideas for my rebrand will stem from wherever this goes, if that makes sense. But I say personal rebrand just because like this isn't even, oh yeah, it is. This is my logo. I don't know if you can see it.
Oh shit, that's sick.
Yeah, so I basically like came up with this and had this for a little bit, and then I was like, oh shoot, like I should just like print merch, right? Because I was like, oh, that's like the thing to do. But everything was just random per se. Like I'm probably still gonna keep this, but it's more so like my brand story and like how I was presenting myself. Like everything was like completely random, bro. I would release a track and then put it on Instagram, and like that was that. Like that was my promotion for it. That was it. And then the next day I would post something like totally random, and then people were just like, what is this? Like, what are you doing? Like, what does this mean? Like, who are you? You know? So I just tapping into this organization more and more, and just the knowledge I've obtained. I just feel like I should be more like strategic and make a little more sense so people can really understand like who I am and where I come from and what exactly it is I'm doing.
I think that's really, really key. And I've like had this conversation with him and kind of maybe even with you yesterday with like the brand of like, you know, who you are and like what you're trying to put out content wise, or the image you're trying to portray. And I do feel like there's a lot of senselessness sometimes, or just rushed to go brand yourself, put something out there.
Exactly.
I mean, even with this podcast, we got you, and then, another person hit us up and they're just kind of like, what is your brand? Which is like a very valid question, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like, who are these people? You know, they just talk in front of a microphone. But I think it's very, very hard trying to not just create a senseless brand just to put it out there.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. I wrote something down. I'm gonna have to read it but yeah, after our call yesterday, I was like, damn, like I align with you super, super heavy. Like it's crazy. Like just thinking about smiling is just because like I go to bed and I think about this stuff all the time. And like nonprofits, I talked about it first. Like I just think they're like an amazing thing. And everything you talked about with like what Kollective Kandor stands for, bringing creatives together, because like you said, capital sometimes throws everyone every which way, and it's hard to get people to connect. And then one of your things was anxiety doesn't come from you thinking about the future. It comes from wanting to control it. Has that been something, you talk a little bit about mental health as well.
Yeah.
Is that like something that you've struggled with? Is it something that, I don't know, does it just like linger a little bit?
Anxiety?
Yeah.
Honestly, man, I've never really had anxiety before. But I mean, presently I do. Like I have anxiety through the roof now these days, and I think also because I can confess, like, I do think about the future a lot, especially like doing something like this. I'm like, damn, like, is this really gonna work, or like, how am I gonna do it? Like, but I'm also, like I said, my spirituality keeps me present. Like, I just like being in the present moment and just being able, like, right now is the only control I have.
Yeah.
And that's what I live by. And like I said, it gets out of control sometimes where I'm like, I think about, like, you know, even tomorrow, I'm like,
yeah, I bring that up because it's kind of like, that's kind of where I'm at. Like, you know, I get anxiety a little bit these days, like, because you start thinking about, oh, where can this go, or what am I trying to create? And then another one you had was, and this is on your Instagram, right? I thought they were dope. I went through the pages, and they've been there for what, years now?
Yeah, that's why I was like, oh shoot,
they've been there
bringing up some stuff from
they've been
way
there
back.
from years now. Well, I just thought, like, damn, like, I really relate. Like, I went through each one. I wanted to write each one down and bring it up. But another one I was like, I thought that was fire was, imagination is more important than knowledge.
Yeah, man.
And that's crazy. Can you, what does that mean to you?
Basically, I mean, all knowledge is being aware of what already exists, right? And imagination, it's endless. Like, knowledge is A to B, imagination is everything and everything at the same time. Basically, like, it's something that only you, right? Because we can think of the same thing, but have different thoughts, if that makes sense. But anything you think is something that's not yet tangible to anybody else, and nobody's going to understand it because it's what's in your imagination. So once you bring that to fruition, then it becomes knowledge, right? Because, like, that's Albert Einstein's quote, right? He thought about, oh, like, there's going to be light, but no, now we have knowledge of light, but it came from his imagination.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's deep. I thought about that one, and I was like, imagination is, more powerful than knowledge. And
exactly. There's no limit.
yeah, it's crazy. What are the next, like, 5? What is the end of the year closing look like for you? I know 2 years is far, but, like, where are you at currently? What's next? Is it just trying to put all the pieces together?
I mean, I'm learning as I go. I love trial and error. I think it's necessary. But, like, right now, I think I'm basically doing it. You know what I mean? It really was the sponsor that was holding me back from just greenlighting, because it's just easier for people to donate when they can write it off for a reason. That's just one of the facts. But with the team that I currently have, like I said, we're working on a short film to work on a visual that really ties in with the values of the organization. So we just have that to present to anything that we do, so people have an understanding. Like, after watching it, however long we make or whatever, it's like, oh wow, in that little clip, I understand what you're providing. And the biggest thing is, like, again, everything is for free. Like, I'm not charging you. I'm not asking anything but for you to come in with work ethic and passion and commitment. But that's the main thing we're working on. And yeah, man. What else? There are, I think, and just content, basically. So we're able to just market, because I think the first 2 partnerships or sponsors we're gonna go for is Coca-Cola and Airbnb.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
The big ones.
Yeah, dude. Like, yeah.
How do you plan to do that? Or, like, what does that even look like? Like, you tell me that, and I'm thinking, like, oh, he's gonna go for, like, you just write him a letter. Like, what are you?
That's
what does that look like?
Basically what you do, man. If I find any domains that have, like, a directory for, like, business contacts, I'll probably look into that. But yeah, that's basically what you do. You write up a proposal. You basically, tell them your mission statement and what you see, like, why you see that collaboration working, right? And it has to obviously benefit them and you at the same time. So you just have to make sure, like, it's solid. But even that, like, recently I've been thinking, like, dang, like, I want to send proposals, but, like, they have to be perfect. But they don't, you know what I mean? Like, you got to just send it and see what happens. And then you send another one, you just keep sending it and see what happens.
Gary Vee kind of talks about this, where, people shy away from, like, posting content because they want that piece of content to be that one perfect piece. But he's like, just shoot.
Exactly.
3-4 times a day. Just put out the content, put out the reel, put out the post.
Yep.
You don't know which one's going to go, but
Exactly.
just keep shooting.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that's something to take away. Obviously, you don't want to shoot with, like, a low shot at Coca-Cola, but if you just start shooting, putting out drafts and letters, something's gonna have to land.
Yeah, I would say, like, the biggest thing with I like making everything personal. I feel like it higher your chances. So what I like to do is if I'm reaching out to a person or a business, whatever it is, I'll do research on them and make sure like the things that they've worked on or the people that they've worked with align with my values. Like for example, Chick-fil-A, right? At some point, like when I was in high school, whatever, I know that we couldn't work with Chick-fil-A because they didn't support like the LGBT community, and so we couldn't be sponsored by them with the school. And so like that's not somebody that I'd probably, maybe now I don't know if they've changed those values or whatever, but that's not somebody that I'd ideally work with because one of the communities that I serve is the LGBT community, so it just wouldn't make any sense, you know. So I just have to be careful with things like that. But I know like Coca-Cola is really big on philanthropy and like the creative community, so it makes sense there.
Awesome. Yeah, I feel like it's crazy. The fact that like how you were able to just find this gap. Mm-hmm. I feel like it's not hard to find because it's needed.
Yeah.
But just to kind of put everything together to make it kind of come alive. It's really, really inspiring, honestly. And crazy that you're able to get the ball moving on it. When it comes to creators, so like just to sum it up for people that are watching and like, oh, you know, what is that? Kollective Kandor is grabbing creators who lack a piece of development to put their content out there, and you are trying to bring these creators together for exchanging services to help them make all the pieces fit.
Exactly. Yeah. If you are just in a position, like I guess another question that I ask is like, what in your life right now is stopping you from doing what you love? Right. And then we analyze that and we see how we can change that. Like, I don't know, like, do you have a regular job?
Yeah.
What do you do outside?
I do private security.
Okay. And you want to do this probably full time? Maybe.
This.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant that. I was like, no, not that.
Yeah.
No.
Still,
this. Yeah.
So then we would make ways to do that. Like, I don't know what big platforms like do mainly podcast, or even like somehow we would make a plan as to see how we would turn this into revenue, you know, whether that's maybe we approach it in a way like maybe you can collaborate with somebody on like Jay Shetty, you know what I mean? Maybe you do it, or Gary Vee, you know what I mean? And that's exposure, and then people will come to you for whatever business that you might be providing at the time or whatever it is. But we make a plan that also leads to financial stability.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's well said and amazing. I feel like, yeah, when it comes to this platform wise, it's kind of just there. It's kind of back to you, like sponsorships, really, you know, like finding guests. And
I have a question for you.
Yeah, go for it.
So if like, I have two questions for you. What do you think the essential basics of life are, like for you to survive?
Shelter, food,
money.
I think connections, like you throw it back. I mean, yeah, like you're right. You're right.
Not going to.
You're right. I would say that. I would say shelter, food, and money. You do need money. Okay. I'm actually a strong believer.
Why do you think you need money?
I mean, unless we take it back to where you're at, you know, like where we could change services and stuff. Well, you need money to survive. Like, if not, you don't get shelter. You go put together some leaves and shit.
Yeah, right. So that's kind of like where I'm going with it, right? Because we just use money to get the things that we want. Money's not what we need, right? Money's not shelter. Money's not food. And money's not like I can go and grow some crops, right? That's priceless. But I say that to say like if these are the things I'm providing, right? I'm providing you home, shelter, and anything that you need. If we need clothes, there's other nonprofits that provide clothing that I can collaborate with them. Or if we say we want to work with somebody who just started their clothing company, you know what I mean? We'll do the advertisement and everything for them. But it's like, yo, shoot us a couple fits that are going to keep somebody warm for like a month at least. You know what I mean? So just approaching it in a way like that. Like I feel like any type of resource, you could really get it from anybody that already has it. And so that's why money's taken out of the equation.
You're going straight from the bargaining, everything.
Yes, basically, man, just raw and authentic. Like,
but that makes sense. Like, if I start a clothing company tomorrow, I need to put it out there through content. And if you're gonna provide me,
I have all these influencers, all these types of. I have every single type of creative. Like,
that's why it works.
Exactly.
What other? Did you have that other question?
No, I think we kind of combined them. but yeah, man, that's why I ask, is because people always say like, I need money to go and get this.
I think, and I think you also hit it, like money's just now what we want,
yeah,
you know, but then that would take it back to the principle of like living life,
right.
you know,
yeah.
like everyone's passionate about something, but I'm only passionate about something because I want something else.
Exactly.
I'm only passionate about working really hard because one day I don't want to work really hard. You know what I'm saying? So I see that though. I see that, especially in the earlier stages, is which was what you're targeting anyway.
Yeah.
Of like, let's bring it back to your core passion.
Exactly. Exactly.
And then once your core passion's established, where it goes from there is
it's up to you. Again, it just goes back to work ethic. Like if I'm taking away all those stressors and now you have complete focus, like now it's just up to your work ethic and your skills and how you do that and how you present yourself to the people that I put you in front of.
Yeah, and like we were talking prior to this about just kind of the mindset that is out there today, where like a lot of people are passionate, you know, at least I'm passionate about this.
Yeah.
But I would stray away from this because it's like, it's new.
Mm-hmm.
And like I've talked to him, I'm like, bro, there's no blueprint for this. Like,
Yeah.
Sometimes like we just sit and we're like, you know, what do we talk
Where
about?
do we
Where
go?
do we go next?
Yeah.
You know, I'm sure we can reach out to people, get a mentor, and all these things are great, but you can't really find the best mentor when you still have nothing at least to show for it, or the mentor won't even really know what to work with.
Yeah.
To help give you a path, right? So just
go ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah, it's just the mindset out there. I think there's, you know, a lot of passion, but maybe people just stray away from wanting to do what they want to do because they're scared of, and a lot of people are scared of failure.
Oh, for
but
sure.
They're also scared of taking the first step, in my opinion. You know.
Yeah.
But out of failure because that first step
Exactly.
might lead them to that, which makes sense 100%.
I used to do a lot of Uber and lifting, just as like a side hustle, and I would always talk to the people that like I felt were down to conversate, and I'll never forget this dude. He came in, and we ended up chopping it up, and he was like, whatever we were talking about. At some point, he was like, "Man, like I want to be a firefighter," and I was like, "Okay, so why don't you want? Why can't you be a firefighter?"
Yeah.
And he was just saying stuff like, "Oh, I gotta like work to pay for like my family here and like my girl this," and it's just like I was like, "Bro." He was talking about how much his car was. It was like 15, 20,000, and I'm like, "Bro,
Go
sell
dump
your
that
car,
shit. Yeah.
sell your car, get something cheaper. Okay, now you already have extra money, right? Build a schedule that's gonna allow you to go to school if that's, you know, do the things that you need to do to become a firefighter." It's like, again, people don't want to make those sacrifices.
And the thing is, you could break it down to like how you just did to the basics,
Yeah,
to the
like-
very basics of like just working a job, not even on a creator space,
Right.
Because that's something even I feel like a lot of people can relate to. Like, because that exact thing is very relevant to me. I've heard this many times of guys in my circle, like, "Oh, I want to be a firefighter." I'm like, even me. Okay, well, why? You know, it can't be that hard,
Right.
But it goes back to why I want to get that car first, or I want to still do, and I struggle with this too. I want to just party a little more, or I want to do something else. They want to live in the now,
Yeah.
and they don't want to take any sacrifices, even if it's like 3 months, 6 months, 1 year. They just don't want people and this is again including myself.
Yeah.
There's sometimes we just don't want to sacrifice the now for the later.
Right.
I feel like that's a big struggle.
Do you think there's a reason for that? Like, I know a lot of people feel like because of just how we're taught, I guess it's like you need to do this, and that so you can have money, and that's like that's been embedded in everybody. Like that's the end goal.
Well, yeah, I think the reason would just be again the now.
Yeah.
Like, I want this truck now.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna work really hard at work, but I'm not gonna work on going to school. Like, or I'll work on my. Let me just think of one. I'll continue to work on my trade job. Let's say I'm a plumber, but I'm not gonna go and work on my GC stuff to get my general contractors, because I'd rather take the after job right after work, go do the side job, make extra money,
Make it
so
now.
that I can go buy the new truck. And then all you're doing is
It's just
prolonging
Exactly.
that inevitable of like, if you just, you know, don't do the side gig, but go do 2-3 hours of work at school for, you know, studying for your general contractor, then in 1 year you could be the GC, and now the truck is just, it's basically paid there. And Yeah. So I think it's just living in the now, honestly.
Gotcha.
I think we all suffer. I mean, I guess suffer, or whatever you want to call it, or experience it.
Yeah.
I definitely experienced that too. That's crazy.
Man.
Well, I appreciate you coming on, bro.
Thank you.
Collective Kandor. That's where they'll find you. We'll add your website, Instagram, all that.
Sounds good.
So yeah, if you're a creator out there and you want to get some work and you believe in it, definitely tap in. Anything else you have for anyone? Last message?
Nah, I guess I do maybe have one more question. So like, I like to learn all the different creative departments because I only know mainly music. So I'm like, how do like these people make money? How like, what are the avenues, I guess, that you would make money potentially in this field, like being podcasters?
So this is a great question. Damn. All right. So the way I started this was I like talking to people. I'm going to answer with a little bit longer. I like talking to people, and I like hearing stories like you. I do have a vision, and there's other things I'm working on in the background. So basically I was like, why not set up a podcast? I didn't think it'd be that hard. I was like, yeah, I'll just get it together. It'll be just a few pieces here and there, and we'll be easy. And so I wanted to do it. And then one day I'm also creating an app. I'm not going to say what about.
Okay.
That will get released really soon. But I'm creating an app.
Okay.
So now everyone knows. I don't think I've ever said that yet, but now everyone knows. And one of the things Gary Vee said was, he's like, bro, if you're creating an app, a brand or something, and you don't have a podcast, go make one. So I was like, all right. That cooped with some people like, hey, you should do a podcast because I think you can do it. I was like, all right, fine. So now brings it back to the question I'm literally asking myself every day. How do I make money from doing this? Other than using it to promote my brand later and just continue to have genuine conversation, the idea behind podcasting would be finding a sponsor. So the way we're attacking this, and we're still currently working on this as our brand, is finding people locally that have a vision like yourself, a brand, something, some way or form that they're turning their passion or hobby into a profit, and it doesn't have to be monetarily. And you kind of just, you don't know what's going to happen. So through this conversation, it can lead somewhere else. And then sooner or later, maybe there's someone big enough. And then from there, a sponsor comes along and like, will you carry my purified First Street water and right there, and they're going to pay me some money. And I guess that's the way that works.
Yeah.
Ad revenue.
That's funny you said that.
And that's kind of the way I understand it.
Yeah.
Again, there's no blueprint. This has been all through my brain, some research, him, editor, the videographer we have, and then just some friends. Like, this is the way I understand it. I may be wrong. There may be some professional out there who's like, that is not the way this shit works. That guy's lost. Please give me a call. I'll take the free game.
Yeah. So you're saying like mainly through sponsors?
So to answer the direct question, through sponsors is the way I think podcasts make money.
Okay. And what kind of sponsors do you think would sponsor this specific type of podcast, right? You like your topic, right?
I like to drink. No, I'm just
Happy that, please.
I don't know. I haven't thought about that yet.
Okay.
I haven't fully thought about that, but I don't know yet. I haven't fully thought about that. I listened to something with Dana White where he's very selective on his sponsors. Yeah. And back to you, I think there would have to be somewhat of an alignment.
Got you.
I'm not just gonna. I'll say this now. I don't think I would just take a sponsor or wear a piece of clothing or do something that I just didn't believe in.
Yeah.
I don't wear things or do things that I genuinely don't believe in.
Yeah.
So I would definitely have to have some sort of alignment. But I don't fully know what that looks like yet.
Okay. I don't know if we have time, but I do have like two responses to that. One is if you do have like a way that you can explain like what this is about, I know you might not be there yet. I know this girl named Tiffany Gucci, right? She's a comedian, she's a host, and now she actually just got a sponsorship from Coca-Cola. So she's getting paid to do her podcast, and she hasn't even done, I don't think, her first episode. And I was talking to my buddy. That's why I want to be one of the first people on there, just because obviously what I have going on is something that I want to put out there, especially when it's, on a platform like that. So that's why I want to extend that to you. Yeah. When you're ready, you could probably hop on there and
I appreciate that.
Coca-Cola is obviously watching that because that's something they're
Yeah.
sponsoring. So if they are interested, they would probably something could happen there
Yeah,
as well.
I feel that. I appreciate that.
And then secondly, you're talking about sponsorships maybe in the long run, but you could do it right now because I was thinking about doing a podcast, but if we can collaborate until like we're able to separate and have our own thing, like, cause I have people that, like you said, I don't know if it was us actually, but people like practicing, like talking to people, this could be perfect for people that come in. And then if they have a story that's aligns with what you have going on, they can just come on here. And the funding that we get can come straight to you because it's towards the social impact. Like you're providing a service that's going to elevate other people. So it's like whatever your price is, we can go out and get that money right now. You know what I mean? So that's just one of the techniques to kind of. But yeah, man.
It. Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, I when bringing this down to this, like, I'm not doing this right now necessarily. I mean, obviously money's always good, right? But like, unless I needed money to like pay my videographer and editor, which I do, but you know, like money right now to me is like, I wouldn't mind whether I make $1 or $0 from this.
Okay.
Right. I mean, obviously it does get expensive with like taking videographers' time and equipment, right? But like other than that, like I'm just game. But like I appreciate it, and obviously if someone was like, "Hey, I'll sponsor you," like we could always reflush that into somewhere else or figure things out, you know. But yeah, I appreciate that. We'll definitely chop it up after and
for sure
see which way we could go with that.
Yeah, man. No problem. Thank you for having
me. All right, guys.
Me.
Well, yeah, I appreciate it. It was solid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I fuck with the vision.
Yeah, man.
It's
a journey.
Yeah, it's crazy. I appreciate it. All right, guys. We'll see you guys next time.